All right. Kind of stream we got going on today. Hopefully it's not all jacked up like it was last time. Hoping we're kicking it up there. Anybody out there? It's a bonus Friday, Thursday, my Friday, a Thursday edition of Charles Wagner's House of Madness. Really don't know what to say about that. Wish I had my phone on me. Oh, there it is. I probably need to invite some people to the party. Ooh. See if it even doesn't look like it's struggling. Nice. It's not even struggling. That's cool. I like it. Okay. Let's invite some folks, yeah? Gah. We're going to do a little mixing. All right. That should be good. Maybe go out there. Maybe head over to the Gear Gods. The Gear Gods. Let's see here. Let's get some folks up in here, yeah? We'll just say, I'm fucking live. Go! That's fucking awesome. What's up, Alex? How you doing, buddy? I got some new Metallica songs. Some new Chuck-Tallica songs, buddy. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Gonna have a little bit of a party today. We're gonna have some parties tomorrow. I'm stoked for the stream tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be a great stream over at Trey Stream. We've got some, we're recruiting some new people, some new blood to come in. I got a couple of dudes that I've been working with for a while. And Mini Wagon's got her. Mini Wagon's got a little thing going on right now, and I'm actually pretty excited about that. But I don't want to hype it up too much because she's still got to write lyrics, and she's got to make sure that the shit sounds top notch because Trey will. Consider turning down video settings. Well, let's take a look here. What are my video settings? Oh, my video settings are fine. What is going on? That should be fine. Yeah. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Yeah, we should be fine. Anyway, is the stream looking okay, Alex, or is it getting kind of choppy? Ooh. Suppose you can see that. Still kind of choppy. God damn it. Oh, yeah. Let's see what I need to do here. Oh, man, I've got it up at 60 frames a second. Is that better? Man. All right. Nah, it all looks good now. Okay. Well, let's do this. Let's go join old Crappy. Let's join him. I don't know what the password is. Old Crappy, you didn't give me a password. Man. We're trying to figure things out with the stream. Okay, it's all good now? Cool. Yeah, I just lowered the kilobit size and I added some buffering in there. Dude, I know, right? Freaking dragged under. My password is incorrect. Try again. Oh, cool. Under the one. Cities burning with hatred inside them, crushing you. Under the one. Allow. Wing. Heads, genocide wings. That doesn't. Uh-oh. Video source. Audio source. That's bugging the fuck out, man. Waiting for the camera to load. Gah. Ugly. Disable. Gah. Anyway. Yeah, so you got the Dragged Under shirt. They're finishing their tour tonight. One last show in Germany, then it's back off to Seattle. They had a really great tour so far. I've been following that. Dragged Under has just been absolutely fabulous. Really doing some cool stuff. And I like the music. It's good. Everything's good. You know, it's got a bit of everything I like. It's very, very good. You know. Drinking these religious now. I'm like a religious tea drinker. Gotta have it midday. Or it's not even midday. It's about 11 o'clock my time. But I've been up since 5 a.m. So I usually have a big giant thing of tea at about noon. Another one about 5. And it gets me to about 10:30, 11. Then I go to bed. And I don't get the jitters or nothing. It just nice steady caffeine buzz all the way through. Because that's how we productive people work. All right. So the reason why I'm streaming right now is because I wanted to show you guys some new music. I've got some new cool shit. I'm actually going to be recording some new stuff here today. I took a profile of my setup. I was unable to, because I've been doing retracking vocals, retracking other instruments in my tracking room back there. And I haven't been able to really, keep my guitar rig set up. So I took a profile of my guitar rig in my Axe Effects. I'm not sure. It's kind of close. I have to EQ it a little bit more to get it there, but it's pretty good. Oh, what's going on there, Trent? Good to see you. Hell yeah. Unfuxing my routing. Dude, get a burl. Get a burl. But Pro Tools does that, Trent. It screws everything up. Anytime I have to switch from the Dante interface to like a Thunderbolt, or like I've got a couple of different interfaces that I use. For whatever reason, all the I/O just gets trashed. And then I have to go back in there in Pro Tools, reset up all my routing, reset up all my... It's such a pain in the ass. I hate it. I absolutely despise it. It's so bad. Anyway, let's get into some mixes here, and I can show you what I'm working on. Day 7 in Pro Tools. Yeah. And not only are you trying to learn Pro Tools, but it also doesn't work the way it needs to work. So it sucks balls. Man, so brutal. Oh, there's my screen. There we go. Had to take a couple of screenshots. I was like, bah, that's not going to work. And then I got these hard drive issues. So I've got like 3 hard drives. So I upgraded to the Mac Studio, and now I got 3 hard drives, and one of the hard drives just doesn't want to stay on here. I'm trying to transfer all of the data that's on these hard drives to my big black hard drive because it's got like 10 terabytes worth of space, and these are both just 1 or 2 terabytes each. And I'm trying to get all the data off so I can just have one. But yeah, it's crazy. All right. So this is the mix. This is the mix I've been working on for the Metallica Forever record. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm sending a submix over to my engineer, who's then using that as a reference. Then he's layering all of his, kind of like making his mix changes on top of it, and then we're going to send that mix to a mastering engineer. So essentially we're doing this like truly old school. You can see I don't have a ton. I got maybe some EQ, but everything else, with the exception of one compressor here, everything else was done outside of the box. So I use a, for those of you who don't know, use a Burl mothership for my I/O interface. 8 channels in, 2 channels out, plus monitor control via Dante. It's a great setup. And then I've got Rupert Neve Designs. Essentially what I'm trying to do is build a hybrid setup of Rupert, basically like a mini 5088 in a hybrid setup. So I like the Shelford channel strips. I've been basically collecting those. I've got 4 channels right now of Shelfords, and 2 channels for my vocal track. They're 2 6176s. So I got 6 channels all in. Plus, then I've got the Portico on channel 7 and 8, which I use for mixing. Oh, I'm getting about 5 frames. Oh, that is just fabulous. God damn it. What is going on with this? Let's see my video. So it's super choppy, Eric. Is it choppy or is it like there? No, I'm staying with Time Warner. Audio is good. It's just the video that's jacked, huh? Oh man. All right, let's see. Let's do a couple of changes here. So disappointing. All right. Let's see if I can change this. All right, is that better? Better or worse? I hope that's better. Oh man, I gotta see. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Oh yeah, yeah. I see what you guys are saying. Oh yeah, yeah. I see what you guys are saying. That is brutal. That is so brutal. How could this be so brutal? Oh no. All right, let's try this. Let's hope that works. Is that better? No? Better? My God. I'll bet I'm still being throttled. At least the audio's good. I guess that's all that matters, right? I guess that's all that matters, right? Oh my God. Not noticing any difference. Yeah. Let's go to the streams. All right, let's try that. Let's try K, boom, boom, boom. All right, I'm going to do 5,000 kilobytes a second. I'm going to do this. We're going to tune this as best we can. We'll do 0 latency. All right. All right, let's see if that works. Maybe. All right. That works. No, there's no difference. This sucks. This sucks so hard. Gah! All right. All right, you guys seeing this? Seeing this screen right here? Is it super choppy still? Oh, man. Oh, man. Xfinity bros. Oh, it looks okay. That looks okay. Yeah. Okay, it's kind of smooth. All right, let's get to playing some music, yeah? Yeah? Let me just double check the loop backs here. Make sure we got everything on that needs to be on. Let's skip that update for now. All right. Okay, that should be better. Yeah, I think that mix really hits. Yeah, Trent. That the thing with the Metallica stuff is with this Metallica Forever record, I'm really going for Master of Puppets, but with like a Black Album type approach, right? So if like Black Album songs, but with Master of Puppets type of edge, right? Production edge, and then maybe some of the riffage on it as well. So, but yeah, that's sort of like the deal that I'm rolling with right now. Is the hardest part. The hardest part so far on this was getting the drums right. So we'll take the drum track here and just. So what I'm doing is I'm soloing out the this is the kind of the bass and the kick track. Eric, this is what I was telling you about earlier is what I did in order to get the bass to sit right with the drums. I basically took the bass track and the kicks and I smushed them together. And I put them through the portico of my juicy outboard gear compression. Using the Rupert Need portico, I was able to really enhance the bass frequencies and really glue the kick and the drum together. So just so you can hear the kick and the drum. And I'll just give you a point here. There. And it's just the sub of the kick, you know. Yeah. And that's with the kick track in. Is that enough room there for you, Eric? And really keeping... Really what I wanted to do is I wanted to keep... In order to keep the bass and the kicks, you know, in their place, I had to put the bass track almost dead up the center there. No, Alex, if there's too much grit, I did that. If there was too much grit on it, then it starts interfering with the frequencies on the guitars, and it sounds like shit. So when I went back and listened to the Master of Puppets stems for Master of Puppets, the bass was exactly this. It was driven, but it wasn't gritty, right? So it had drive in it, and it had like this, it was like a low hum. And like, you know, it had the low hum frequencies of breakup, but it wasn't over the top. Now, if you listen to songs like Orion, or you listen to, you know, obviously For Whom the Bell Tolls, that's gritty, but it's only gritty when it needs to be. So like he kicks into the grit when he's doing like a lead thing. But other than that, Cliff was keeping a real low key bass tone, and it fit right underneath or right in with that kick from Lars Ulrich. So this was a tough kit to get right. I had a couple of different mixes on this. One was a modern mix with a modern drum kit, and it just did not fit the vibe. I mean, if you try to mix this song with like a modern kit, or even like the Black Album kit from like SSD or Superior Drummer or Slate Drums, it ain't gonna work. It's just the frequencies on it interfere. There's too much interference on the frequencies. You'll have a million different pull downs in the 3 and 4K on different kit pieces, and it just doesn't work. It's weird. I don't want to say it's weird, but it's really special how these older albums, especially these older thrash albums, were created, because the songs are outstanding. They're outstanding songs. But how they produced them, how the guitars were produced, like the guitar tone really dictated what you could do with the drums, right? and it sort of really dictates what you can do with the bass, because the guitar is the main instrument. It's the main thing when you listen to Metallica, you're hearing those guitars. I mean, that is Metallica. To me, that's what I hear when I hear Metallica, and then I hear that snare. So this snare sound. Bros. That was actually tough to get. And it's 4 different sounds I had to come up with. The first sound is the snare bottom. This is where I get that top end of the snare, which you think it's top, but it's actually the bottom of the snare. And I had to really compress, or I had to turn the compressor, or the release on the compressor. The attack was up fast, and it was a fast compression, because I had to get rid of as much of that bottom end sound as possible. Lights out. But you see how that's what you hear. This is the top end. This is one of the tracks I had to compress. I put all of the snares through the Rupert Neve Shelfords with the blue silk cranked all the way up. For this particular snare, I'm boosting the bottom end. So you can hear that's got a lot of top end in it. So you hear a lot of top end, but there's body. Now, here's where I needed to really do some more magic. So for this snare, so you see where I got that cue? I've got that queued up. So I had to do some extra frequency here and just pull this middle out, because it was just poking up too much, and I really wanted that high end. Make sure I don't fuck that up. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, so about 700. You can see it. It's like right here, and it's just sticking up like an ice pick. So I brought that down almost 8 dB. You see the difference? And it just pokes awfully through the mix. You see? And these are the toms. I'll tell you, you bring that solo up just like half a dB yourself.
Wake up, it's time to die. Grease the gears of our air ride. Motivate the troops.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I think you were right. Like half a dB of compression of input compression more, or gain on the compressor actually did the job there. love that. Yeah, it just pops just just a touch more. But yeah, that was the toughest part of this mix. Because when I first wrote the song, I was basically writing it for Trey's stream on Friday. So for those of you who don't know, Gear Gods, Trey Xavier, he streams every Friday. I think most of the people here have probably either been there or heard of him. But that's a great place where songwriters go and they share songs. And Trey to me, he's a legit producer. I think he's the kind of guy you want to work with if you want to write a Grammy, nominated song, in my opinion. But yeah, I kind of wrote it for that because he said he was working on a Metallica song. And I'm like, well, I can do a Metallica song. I know a thing or two. This was all done in just kind of one go, start to finish. And I was just getting tones together and just experimenting and just playing with my ears, not caring about knobs or frequencies or anything like that. I just went with what sounded good. And I think the biggest lesson on this song, it wasn't like I had a reference track or anything. I mean, I've got the wave files of Master of Puppets imprinted on my soul. It's running through my veins. I think moreover, it was more of the vibe of it and really just getting the spirit of that kind of sound, right? The thing I love about this, and this goes into like the technology and all this other stuff, is that we can create whatever sounds that we want. We can create the sounds that are in our head. It's not like I sat down and was like, I've got to like be exact to Master of Puppets or whatever. It was like, no, I want to get that kind of sound. And basically to get that sound, it was a Randall KH103 tweak to very specific and egregious, in my opinion, really horrible sounding specifications, but like almost no bass, almost no mids, and it's just a little bit of the low frequency to sort of counteract the highs and mid highs, the high mids and the highs that are in that sound. And it's just and it's just kind of sculpting it, with the amp as much as possible. I mean, in a greenback cab, miking it up, and that's the sound I came up with. And I've captured that, so that's available in an XFX preamp. But yeah, like this was like a total, like, I want to come up with this kind of sound, and then it was like, damn, what other? I mean, this turned out to be a pretty good sounding song, and I think a pretty okay song overall. But then it was like, okay, well, what more can I do with this? Because it's like you're kind of like working. It's like that Master of Puppets 2.0. Like, I'm a huge Metallica fan. Notwithstanding, when Metallica plays a show, I perk up and pay attention, right? So, it's one of those things where it's the spirit of that record, right? And I think, it's interesting for them because they sort of like did it and moved on. They're like, okay, that's cool. We're going to go do Black Album. Then we're going to go do Load, Reload, and Saint Anger and all that other stuff, right? Whereas I'm kind of like, there's more to explore there. And I think bands like Evil, also felt the same way, where they're like, hey, damn, that's a cool sound. And that's a cool thing what we can do with this. It's not all about just doing one sound. You can create whatever sounds that you want. I think what Eric Sime's doing right now is incredible. The sounds that he's getting. And this is what we'll talk tonight. We'll talk about this tonight during our live stream, but it's about finding cool sounds in subtle ways, right? How I get my sounds, I like to use very high quality, preamps and microphones, and because I like to capture natural acoustic sounds. But that's not the only way you can capture great sounds. You can capture great sounds in the box as well if you have the right tools, the right plugins, and know how to use them in the context of the mix that you're working with, right? And the song that you're working with. And that's really what we're going to talk about tonight, is getting into that. Like, how do you identify what tools that you need to use out of, from distortion to pads to synth, to reverbs and delay. Like, how do you choose that? How do you know what's going to sound good? And honestly, the secret is not really a secret. You just listen with your ear and you can be the judge. And, again, if you look through this track, there's not a ton of plugins here. I'm not rolling a ton of plugins. I've got Howard Benson vocals. That's a huge, I would say, out of all of my vocal work, the Howard Benson plugin this has been like the key. This is what's unlocked my vocals. Of course, I've got a great, you know, vocal chain with a Telefunken TF39 and a 6176, but I plug all of that into this essentially, and this helps me kind of refine that sound. My vocals are fantastic out of the box. They really are. I think they are. I mean, I'm recording, I'm engineering the best sounding material I have ever done in my 20 plus years of doing this, you know, and it's amazing. I've got great gear. I've got some pretty okay know-how, and I'm able to create some really cool sounding stuff. I'll show you a couple of different tracks as well here momentarily, but let's dive into the chat here, see what we got. Alex Rooney. You keep expecting 100,000 people to chant "die" whenever you hear that riff. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, dude, Trey is an absolute godsend. I would say so. I would say so myself. Look, I kind of lost my interest with music over the years, you know, prior to the COVID thing and prior to all this stuff, and getting on Trey's stream and being able to pick this back up again, and not only pick it up, but do it with the hindsight of what I've done, but also then take it further, right? You know, somebody's really special when they share knowledge, or you're able to learn something from them, and it actually takes you further. You know, I mean, since I started, you know, kind of doing this again, so to say, I've had 35 new songs published or picked up for publishing. I've collaborated with other folks on music that got picked up for publishing. You know, it's really, really cool. It's really cool to know that I'm able to write music that people connect with, that's marketable, that sells, you know, and that's my own. And it's not, you just don't have one sound. I think a lot of bands get stuck in this one sound. I think that's the reason why Metallica moved on from that thrash sound and I'm using Metallica as a kind of a scapegoat for this, but you look at the Beatles, you know, they kind of moved on from their sounds too. They were trying different things, different sounds. And I think that's kind of also a balance of being inspired. Sometimes you have to walk away from something for a bit to let the juices sort of settle and kind of refill the tank, you know? And I could definitely tell you with me that, like, I walked away from this and was just like, yeah, that's cool. I'm going to walk away, go do other things. And then it's been great to come back to it the last 2 years and really fall in love with it all over again, you know? You're making your way through the chorus and you're already starting to realize where I'm wrong. And yeah. Dude, Trey's songwriting chorus is fantastic. He's got a songwriting chorus. He does coaching. He does one-on-ones, and he does actual production as a producer for not a lot of money. I mean, to get a song produced, you're looking at least $2,500 to $3,000 with a professional per song, plus song royalties and publishing rights that you have to sign over. Trey's doing it, I think, for what, like $500, $800, something like that. I don't know. Like, you'd be stupid not to do it, I think. Because, you know, if you've never written a great song, like if you've never done it and you don't know how to do it, you need to get with somebody who has done it, who knows how to do it, that can teach you and help you to do it, so that you can find, so you can see the not just the formula, but you can see the method in which you can write really interesting and cool stuff. It doesn't all have to be like my stuff is written in a certain way. You know, I like to build things up, to take you somewhere, to go somewhere else, to come back and then go home. I'm a family man. I like to go home. So, you know, it's one of those things where from a songwriting perspective and from a Chops perspective as well, it's his chorus takes you through everything, A to Z, starting with a riff, starting with an idea, starting with a humming melody, whatever it is, and then developing that into an entire song. It's a really incredible chorus. Trent, I got that out of Greenbacks. Yeah, I got vintage 30s too, man. Yeah, dude. Oh, yeah. I got a whole record of this stuff that's going to be going. I won't show it all today, but it's really, really cool. But yeah, I got a whole stack of amps here and put them to good use. That's for sure. All right. So take a look see here. Go over here. All right. So that. Well, that's the point, Trent, is, not every single piece has to be like this. It's subtle. It's subtle things that you put together that create a sound. With this particular snare sound, I was really going for that old school like Metallica, like that snare sound that you would hear on "And Justice for All," right? It was kind of dry. It's kind of like it's like a military type snare almost, or like a drumline snare. And but when it's with four of those tracks together that are all sculpted differently, you're able to bring out a little bit of the low end, but it was really getting the high end to pop through there, because the high end with these guitars, if I wasn't getting 3K through there, you're not going to hear the snare. You'll hear like the bottom end of the snare, but you'll hear like the transient, but you won't hear the hit. And that, and Eric and I have been working on that together with some other songs. Eric is, I believe Eric is mixing a song for me right now. I think he's still doing it. Eric, you still doing it? I don't even know if you're still here, but he's mixing a song for me right now called Under the One. I think we're going to look at that tonight. I'm not sure if he's done with it, but my initial mix on that was very it was very aggressive, like the mix and the limiter and everything was super pushed in your face, just really aggressive. Yeah, Eric. Okay, good. And Eric has been working on this mix for a while, where there's space for everything, and that's two different types of approaches. Not one is better than the other, by the way. I think that's a matter of taste, but you have to really look at the song and go, what benefits the song? When I first mixed this, going back to how I wrote and recorded it and kind of shared it out the first time, when I first did it, I kind of just did it. I didn't really focus. I was focusing on the vibe and the sound more than I was focusing on like, okay, can I hear everything? Like, I didn't give a shit whether or not I could hear everything. Does the message get across in the timetable that I have? The answer was yes, but when I went back to listen to it and go, okay, dude, I'm going to do a whole record of this. What do I really want it to sound like? And I went back and listened to And Justice for All and Master of Puppets and realized, like, okay, I've got to create space in this mix, but at the same time, keep it aggressive, right? Or aggressive for this particular style of music. And what I find interesting is when I start working on songs, or when I start, like, from an engineering or a mixing standpoint, you have to really balance the sound with the song, right? Because the song can sound super aggressive. You can make a mix, and maybe that works for the song, but maybe that's not. Maybe there are things in there that really should also shine through, right? And so I don't know. To me, I'm kind of coming around to the point. I love aggressive mixes. I love like hard to listen to music. I think it makes you listen hard. I think it makes you listen a little bit more closely. Kind of listening through the mix to hear the song, I suppose. That's kind of the Converge guy. God, what is his name? Kurt Below. Kurt. Bulow, Baleo. I don't know. Guy, his name's Kurt somebody from Converge. He does that where it's very, I mean, but he also has done, like, lately, he's done some really sweet sounding mixes. And so it's interesting. It is kind of a journey because a lot of times, like with Under the One, I just had to, I did my mix on it and was like, all right, fuck it. I'm done with this. And it was nice to hand it over to Eric. But for other songs like this, it's nice to revisit and you go back and you go, oh, I know what I can do better on this now. With the hindsight of knowing what you've done in the past, right? I think for Under the One, I had like 7 or 8 different mixes on it, but we'll talk about that later. But with this mix, it was about getting the drums to sit right because the guitars, again, there's not a whole lot going on here. I don't have a whole lot of stuff piled in here. I was thinking with the snare, this one right here, I was thinking about maybe putting a distortion. Yeah, doing like this kind of thing. I don't know, man. That sounds kind of cool. Oh. Holy shit, I think I may have done something that made this song sound better. So this is without. And now it's with. Holy shit. That fucking sounds awesome. Dude. All right, so again, Warren Who Art, I believe his name is. He's got a channel called Produce Like a Pro. And he actually told me this. So the only reason why I came up with this idea is because he said, hey, if you can't get your snare to really fatten up, throw a distortion pedal on it. You know, throw a little bit of distortion on there and it'll fatten right up. And I think he's fucking right. Because that sounds phenomenal. I want to see what it sounds like for that intro part.
Yellow, my name is Will Fire.
Yeah. That fucks. Oh my god.
Fire.
Oh, what's going on, Brandon? How you doing, dude? Hope you're doing well, my man. Been a while. You gotta get in a truck and come on out to Houston. Come on out to Houston, Texas. Iowa still treating you good, bud? It's good to see you, man.
Fire.
Surviving COVID again? Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm a homebody now. I only go out to go to the office or to do meetings, and that's it. I'm glad business is good. Hell yeah. You got the roofing franchise, right? Y'all had some storms going on up there. We need some rain. We've got like rain that's sitting off the Gulf of Mexico, just like right off the coast. And it's just hanging out there. You know, I go to my backyard today and like half the grass is dead and ground's all cracked. And I'm like, uh-oh. Get some rain up in here. Fire. Yeah, man. Oh, hell yeah. Agribusiness, logistics, absolutely. Living the dream. Dude, I'm so glad you started doing that. I know for a long time that, you know, making the jump into being an entrepreneur is not a easy one to make. Everybody thinks it's like, oh, you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you're gonna be automatically wealthy. No, that's not how that works. So, hell yeah, man. But you're in an industry that you know and you're really good at. So, you know, pro tip to anybody who's done any business, you know, you have to do it all and you have to be really good at it, you know, in order to run a company. Otherwise, you will be run out of business, and that's never a good thing. And I've done that, and how I've learned that lesson is experience, my friend. A lot of experience. So that's good, man. We got to catch up. I'll ping you after this stream, and we'll catch up, man. I want to hear all about it. Fire. Yeah, so for the guitars there, I've got I got a couple of things going on here. It's kind of wonky. So I got 4 layers of guitars on there. First 2 layers are just SM57s. Like this. That's all. That's all SM57. And then with these other guitars, it's the same sound, but with, God, what did I use on this? I think an AKG 414 and a Royer 121 with an SM57. And then I summed all 3 of those sounds through the Rupert Neve Orbit mixer, and that's what gives me kind of like that fullness. It's not super spiky, like there's no real spikes. It's just kind of like it's a nice, like, just, I don't know how, it's warmth. It's super warm. No, Brandon. I recorded all this with guitar amps and microphones and the whole deal with some very expensive, I should say, channel strips. Worth it. 100% worth it. Had to work very hard to earn the cash for it. But yes. No, that's a combination of a lot of stuff. And if it was just the fractal I've got a fractal. It's nice. I like it. But yeah, I haven't. There's just certain sounds that I like to listen to that I have yet to hear from like a fractal. And I've got a fractal. I've worked with a fractal. I've really spent some time with it. And for a lot of times I can get some good sounds out of it. Get great sounds out of it that nobody else would know the difference, but I would know the difference. And I think that's what matters. That's the difference between what I listen to and what somebody else listens to. They could listen to the same track of the same. One could be an analog recording. The other one could be a digital one. They wouldn't know the difference. But there are certain things with an analog recording, specifically how, whether it's either with some reflections. I've had a hard time trying to dial in reflections because sometimes those reflections can do things to your sound that sound really good. And that's kind of counterintuitive to say. Especially on when you're recording music in like a studio environment, you don't want a whole lot of reflections. But I've been able to use reflections to my advantage at times to get a unique sound. I don't recommend it because most of the time it sounds like shit. But when you're trying to get a live sounding recording, getting a bit of a room sound, even if there's some reflections here and there or whatever, just depending on how much they impact the sound, that's totally that's totally what it is. But I got all this stuff. This is you've seen this. This is all from my Red Sky days. The stacks of Mesas and Marshalls and all sorts of stuff. You were there, right? Remember Jennifer coming over? We were living in that house in St. Bonnie, and she was with Stace, and then they both went downstairs. I'm just down there cranking away on a Mesa full stack, and I just remember the look on her face. It was like horror. She's like, "Oh my god!" Oh, it was funny. Way back in the day. That was like 20 years ago. Anyway, yeah. Okay. So that's the sound. I think the big thing is what really helped me was kind of what Glenn was talking about. Glenn Fricker. Oh, I still got that guitar, man. It's in the storage, but I still got it. Yeah. Yeah, that dude made it for me. It was crazy. He came to a Red Sky show. We got absolutely we had a good time. Back in my old band, we'd party or whatever. And the guy that he was like, I'm gonna make a guitar for you. I'm like, okay, here's my info. Here you go. And sure enough, 6 months later, this thing shows up, and it's a custom guitar, and it was absolutely gorgeous. One of the finest instruments anybody's ever handcrafted for me. So, Dark Star Guitars. Anybody who wants to know? I don't even know if that dude's still doing it. I don't know. It was really good. Anyway, there were some things I didn't like about it. I'm so particular with my guitars. Oh my fucking god! I think I sent the guy an email and be like, "Oh, I would have liked this and that." And I was like such a dick about it. But it should have been, like, dude, this is really nice. Thanks, for what it was. Anyway, live and learn, I suppose. Fire. Yeah. So here's the bass. And it's the bass and the kick. Yeah, so what I like about that is the guitars, to get that sound, that's not the exact like Master of Puppets sound or whatever. I tried to emulate that sound with like a plugin and it just sounded like shit. Um, because I think the plugins sound like shit. I tried to emulate it with my Axe effects. That sounds like shit. But to get this sound, just this one specifically. And there was that Canadian dude I tried. I tried his pickups or his VST settings for Master of Puppets and Injustice for All. Gosh, what is his name? State of Mercury. I believe that's the dude's name. I think. Yeah, like I tried those sounds. Like I don't know how he gets it to sound good. It just didn't sound good in the context of like a real mix, right? So this is basically the guitars are just tube amps going through Rupert Neve. I'm going through mics and all this good shit, and then through the Rupert Neve setup I've got here with like almost no EQ. I've got a little bit of a distressor on the lead, but there's no EQ on this. Like this is the sound of the guitar straight from the amp. Like that's what this is. This is the sound of the guitar straight in the amp. I think you could probably hear my kids in the background. And that's recorded in that room back there, you know, super straightforward. And then all I did with those guitar mixes is I created a bus and I summed it in a bus. So here's the other bit, okay? So when you go through these Shelford channel preamps, you have this feature called Silk. I think it's transformer distortion. You have low and low mid distortion, and then you have high mid and high artifacts that you can create with it through their transformers. Unbelievable sounding. I mean, it'll take anything that sounds mediocre or kind of bland and make it sound like, depending on what it is, make it sound fucking amazing. And that's what that sound is, just basically layered up. The Chuck Tallick album. Right now it's in October, and it's all going to be on vinyl. I'm doing vinyl. I'm not releasing anything digitally. Anything I do release digitally will be, you know, not optimal. Probably not optimized. I'm not doing anything optimized for the, like this I have on my master bus here. This is just to show, just for showcasing. I'm going to take all this stuff off and just bounce this out to a Portico into another file, and then I'm going to send it off for a remix and a remaster. But yeah. No Sonic. No, dude. No, this is all about capturing the sound and then processing all of the sounds through analog gear. So, I mean, it's not to say that I'm not using like plugins or anything, because I am. I'm using the Fab Filter Pro Q3. I'm using this Black Op distortion thing for the snare. I'm using CLA Chris Lord LJ's Epic reverb for the drums. I'm using the Universal Audio distressor for the lead guitar, and then Howard Benson for my lead vocals. And that's it. That's it. Everything else I'm capturing either at the source or I'm processing through outboard gear to get the sound that I need. And I really like this approach. I mean, it's not like there's positives and negatives to it for sure, but I think in the for what I like to do, it sounds natural. It doesn't sound like, it sounds like there's space in the mix, which is, and my guitars are like 3-dimensional, right? So I feel like there's like 3 dimensions to the mix. You've definitely, you can hear the drum mix, you hear the guitar mix, and you hear the bass and the bass, the rhythm section, the bass and drums, that's all working together. Like from a mix perspective, this is all working together. So going back to like what Glenn Fricker, when he heard a previous version of this, what he told me, he's like, you really got to get those, you got to do, he was like, you got to do something to get the bass and the drums to work together so that so that because once you get those two things working together, everything else in the mix becomes enhanced. Like you actually start, and I don't know how that works. Maybe it's how your brain perceives the sound or whatever, but then you're able to kind of like hear it all, without having to listen. Like you don't, it's not aggressive. So you have to like really tune in. Like when you tune into something, you're kind of ignoring other things in a mix, right? And I think with this mix, you kind of hear everything and you're sort of like not having to hear so hard. At church, I tried running our CAD John through a sonic maximizer because it was so muddy, but it made it all too bright in the mix. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a fan of the sonic maximizer. I know like the science behind it where they're delaying delaying when you hear certain frequencies, and it kind of maximizes it. Like you hear the bass frequencies first before you hear the high frequencies. I think that works better in like a live mix, like from a PA perspective. I don't know. Maybe Trent has an opinion on that, but yeah, don't do that. I think that's the mix. I think that's the mix we're going to go with. All right. Let's take a look now at the